Hello, 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 and welcome to the Place to Soar, where our motto is step out and redesign, and the focus is always on you. I'm your host, Anita Russell, and it's my pleasure to be here once again. And as you can see, we have a full house. We have a number of guests here, and we're going to talk about a very specific topic, and that topic is community policing and the role that chaplains play in the Trenton Police Department. So I'm going to go do a little round robin here, and we're going to start with Nathan Davis. He's a police officer. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit more about who you are?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. Again, my name is Nathan Davis. I am a juvenile officer for Trenton Police, and I am a single father with a wonderful daughter. Also, one of the gentlemen that actually got involved with the Trenton Police Chaplains in the city. I also was a member of Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church, which I have a great pastor, is Ernest Mitchell III, and I'm also an entrepreneur.
Oh, excellent. Lots of good stuff. And what about you, Bishop Sidney Gaines?
Wow, the Bishop Dr. Sidney L. Gaines.
Yes.
Coming before you once again, live well, and of course, I'm still kicking. Well, I'm the pastor, of course, First Chronicles of the Living God Ministries. Also a police chaplain. Do quite a few things there, so I don't think time would allow me to go down the line. But
Just keep it short.
It's good to be here, though.
Excellent, excellent. And this is Dr. Shirley.
Yes, I'm Dr. Shirley Gaines, author of the book, In Your Journey Lies Your Awakening, and I'm also a Trenton Police Chaplain.
Excellent, excellent. So tell me a little bit about this Trenton Police Chaplain and how that worked. How did it even come into existence?
Well, what happened was back in 2003, when the Trenton Police Chaplains actually was born in our city of Trenton, New Jersey. We started out where there was having a lot of clergies from our area actually come out from the pulpit from on Sundays and start helping out on Mondays, coming out into the city, doing a lot of community and helping the Trenton police officers, actually getting involved when things happen that occur. We just began to coming together.
Excellent, excellent. So now he's a police officer, but how did you guys get involved in the police chaplaincy program?
Wow.
Well,
ahead.
good question. I saw a television show late one night, and it was talking about chaplains. It was talking about clergy getting together, doing ride-alongs with police officers so that they could learn relationships with the community, with the police in the community. But it wasn't in Trenton yet. So I said, wow, I hope that get in Trenton because I want to do it. So about maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe, we met Nate, and he was involved in this program called the Police Chaplains, and he was talking about it. And I said, wait a minute, I heard about that. I want to be a part of that.
Okay.
And so just connecting with Nate, that's how it all started. And I'm one of the ones, I'm honored to be a Trenton Police Chaplain.
Excellent.
And of course, you know our record. Most everything she's in, I'm a part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we both end up joining in. Very excited about it. Really, I mean, we're just excited, about what we're doing. And she stated, Brother Nate, we met him, and he said, hey, look, I need y'all on my team. And
no problem.
He didn't have to pull no teeth.
No, he
we
didn't.
was already involved in doing a lot of community stuff, as you know. And so this was just another added thing on to our list.
Excellent. So how many chaplains does the city of Trenton have altogether?
Well, right now we presently have 30 chaplains right now
30?
in our city.
Oh,
That is
wow,
correct.
that's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. So what does the training look like? I'm sure there's like a training
Well, there
process?
is a basic training, but before the basic training, what we do is an extension background check on
Okay.
all the police chaplains. So, we do have a application process that they go through, do a background training, and making sure that things are good for them on their background, because we come in contact with so many families that's in crisis, especially with children.
Okay.
And that's one of the most important things, that when we out there, we have to make sure that the people that's out there, the community, are comfortable when they see a police chaplain, because things that they talk about pertaining to their children is very important, so that we as clergies have to understand and talk about and help them without having extensive background, things that's going on with themselves.
Okay. So from your perspective, why is this important?
Wow. Who wants to go first? To me, is extremely important. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there's such a lack of communication with our police and our residents. So we are the bridge between our police and our community. We're the ones that get out there and let our community know the police is good. I mean, you have good and bad in everything, but the community needs to have a relationship with the police department, not just when we're in trouble or we need to dial 911. Remember back in the day, there was officer friendly, and the cops knew your name, knew who your parents were.
Right.
So that's what Nate and the chaplains that's what we're trying to rebuild back in the city, where the cops feel comfortable, where they know the names of the residents in our communities, and they can reach out to us as chaplains and say, we'd like for you to go visit so-and-so or so-and-so. So it's very important. Yeah. Community policing is extremely important, especially in today's time.
Right. And as chaplains, it's like an extension of our ministry.
Yes.
It's bringing the ministry out of the church into the streets. I often say that if we as ministers or as pastors are not affecting, or as a church, affecting our community, then we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing?
That's good.
And in today's time, we have not done such a great job in affecting the community as a church. So the chaplain is like an extension.
Okay.
It's allowing the pastor or the minister to go into the community. Even though we're a police chaplain, which our first job obligation is to police officers.
Yes.
Okay, so again, I always have people look at my list of SOAR values and then tell me, within the context of what you do, what are the ones that resonate most with you. And so the ones that you guys selected, and I have to tell you, faith, trust, and belief is my number one selection.
Wow.
Just about every single person that I have on this show, that's one of the ones that they select.
Wow.
But then you also selected community and family.
Yes.
So can you talk with our audience about how those values relate to this whole concept of community policing? And you're absolutely right. We're living in a time now where that gap between law enforcement and the community seems to be getting wider and wider and wider. So can you talk about your selection of that particular value, community and family, from the standpoint of community policing?
Who wants to take it, Nate? Who wants to take it?
What's you guys made the selection.
Oh, okay. I believe that strongly. It's important, number one, because we need our police.
Right.
And we need our preachers, pastors, ministers, those that work heavily in the community. And both have a responsibility. The police has a responsibility to the community that it serves. Those that are in ministry have a responsibility, not just to their parishioners, but if your place of worship is in that community, you have a responsibility to that community. So we have an obligation as being in leadership position in our religious facilities to, number one, not just give them biblical or spiritual things, but everyday life things. And it starts with the pastors, because people look up to people in ministry. So when you're in ministry, people look up to you. So what better place to learn the importance of community policing is through the church. The church has a big responsibility to the community. And once the pastor is teaching his parishioners that the police officers, we need them, and they're helping to build that trust and faith in the police. When our communities see the police in our communities, it won't go negative. It'll go positive.
Yes.
Right.
See, now when we see police in our communities, it's always negative. But we got to change that dynamic and make it where the police aren't our bad. They're here for us. And so we should be there for them. And the only way that's going to happen, the clergy has to get involved. And once the clergy get involved, now the relationship and the trust will develop among our police. So community and families, and our families are in trouble.
Yes.
And we need the police to help educate, not just to come and arrest. There's a thing that I saw, I think it's West Hampton, they have a program that I love. And what they do, they have our young people, you know, the young people in that community, they go to the police station and they learn things that the police officers do. The police officers play games with them. They communicate with them. They make them feel like, oh, when I get older, I want to do that. And that's what we're trying to do as chaplains, bridge that gap between our community and police.
Exactly. Because law is so important, law and order. And as she was talking, I was thinking, my mind went back many years ago when we got married. We used to go to church down in Wildwood, down in Whitesboro, New Jersey. And one evening after church, we coming home, and I'm driving. I was driving about 100, flying down.
Miles an hour?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Breaking in the new car.
Route 9. We was breaking in that aspirin that we had.
Yep.
Brand new aspirin. And my wife kept saying, honey, slow down. And I'm like, no, I got this. And my son, he's back there crying. I said, oh, it's all right, son. That's all right. Daddy got this. And so I came over that hill. All of a sudden, the state trooper, I went past that state trooper, zoom, and he turned the lights on, and I said, uh-oh. So I started breaking it down. I pulled over, and I waited. So the cop finally caught up with me, made me sit there for about a good 15, 20 minutes. Then he came out and came over and said to me, he said, do you know how fast you was going? I said, officer, the last time I looked at it was around about 100. I said, after that, I said, I kept my eyes on the road. He cussed me out a little bit. Then he said, you want me to give you a ticket for how fast you was going? I said, officer, I wish you wouldn't, but if you did, I deserve it. Because I'm a man that teaches law, but yet here I am breaking the law.
Right, right.
Amen.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you know, he didn't know how to handle that. He went back, made me sit for about 40 minutes, came back, cussed me out, gave me a ticket, only wrote me 5 miles over the speed limit.
Oh, okay.
But my point there is that law and order. God has placed law and order in our community to help govern our lives so that we can live peacefully.
Absolutely.
With law and order, as she stated, as she stated, it seemed like we're getting away from that law and order. It seemed like we're becoming like the Wild Wild West. Anything goes. And so what's missing there is, as we all are saying, that police and community connection. So as the chaplains, we're in that middle, on the side of the police and also the community. But it's our job to bring that peace, that harmony there. So when I think of community, family, we need law and order. So we need our police officers, but we need the community to understand where they're coming from, as well as the police officers to understand where the community is coming from.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important that you're pointing out that it has to be bi-directional.
Yes.
It can't be finger pointing, because I think that's where we've gotten to a great extent, is this kind of finger pointing kind of deal, but that doesn't solve anything.
No, it doesn't.
And so it has to be a situation where people are willing to come to the table and have a conversation about what's going on.
If I can inject something right quick, what I've found to be our experience as police chaplains, you know, we're at almost every incident that take place, we get that call, and it makes the police officer's job much easier. They can focus on the policing part, and we can focus on helping that family heal.
Right.
That
Yes,
and it
yes.
bridges the gap. It makes the family where they're all upset and worked up. It brings about a calmness,
Yes.
and now they can communicate
Yes.
with the police officer. I'm just concerned about my loved one, because we're that bridge, and that's an honorable thing. And I really thank Detective Nate Davis for bringing us all together, because this was
Excellent.
something that he prayed for years, to allow God to have him to do this, and it's working. So I just wanted to just say, Nate, God bless you for bringing this
Thank you.
together for all of
Yes.
us.
Amen.
Very nice.
It's making a difference.
Very nice. So let's turn to Nate. You also chose faith, trust, and belief. So talk about how faith, trust, and belief relates to you as an officer.
One of the things that was extremely important at the time is that the faith that I had when this had occurred so many years ago, when I actually remember stuff working out, being out on the streets and seeing stuff happening, especially when we see our young black men getting shot down on the streets.
Yes.
And once that tape go up, and we have that family actually trying to come up under that tape, and was it at this time, and a lot of people don't understand, as an officer, we have a job, and our job is, first of all, we have to protect that individual that's laying there. And then what happened behind that is that we have a family that's hearing so many different names, not saying that may be their child, but what happened is through the community saying that, so now you may have 5 or 6 different family members want to come up under the tape. So when you have that officer telling you, wait, stop, you cannot come up under the tape, now you have 5 different families extremely upset. They want to yell at the officers. They want to disrespect the officer, and the officers really there just trying to do their job. So when they stop that individuals, that's when the relationship began to break up. And that's what happened, what we had lost. And what happened, even with that, as a police chaplain, I see that something need to be done.
Okay.
In the process of seeing that needs to be done, that's when I realized that when it had touched my heart, I had to really do something. And we doing this voluntary. We don't get paid for this here.
Okay.
So when we come out and when we speaking with these families, when this young black man or whoever it may be wrapped up, laying there, we as a police chaplain have to protect these families.
I got it.
We have to protect the families as well as that officer, because 9 out of 10 times, if something happened in our city of Trenton, New Jersey, what happened is that you don't know how many jobs that officer had been through before he get to that job.
That's right.
He probably don't witness a rape. He don't probably witness a house fire that he may have to run in there and save someone's life, come back out, shots fired. He's in the middle of that and come back in like 15 minutes later, and then now someone got shot, and you never know what that officer are feeling.
That's right.
So it's so extremely important is that what we do as police chaplains, we trying to bridge that gap. I'm not saying we trying, because this is what we're doing.
We're doing it.
We are bridging the gap.
Doing it.
And we helping so many people that's in the city. And now is this so wonderful, it's such a great job, is because they give us a great deal of respect, especially the things what I have is my first responders. So again, when I get that phone call, when I call the gangs, which has, oh my God, has been such an excellent job, has been my right hand and my left hand, they've been my eyes and ears. And when I get that call, they immediately jump up. And again, I'm talking about something may happen 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And again, we getting up and we going to that crime scene, or we going to the hospital and dealing with that family that's extremely upset, that's extremely crying, and you have family members standing outside of the hospital, everybody trying to get in. And again, we as police chaplains, we sitting out there, we talking to the families, and we bringing in only the immediate families. So now we done cut down a lot of stuff what the officers feeling comfortable about.
Okay, so I have another question. So you sort of birthed this program in the Trenton Police Department. Were there any challenges, or was there any pushback that you met at the very beginning when you were trying to get this program initiated?
Well, I did. When I first got involved with the Trenton Police Chaplains, at this time it was 2003, and I was not in a clergy, because part of being a police chaplain, you have to be an ordained minister. And
I see.
okay, and so what happened was that it was brought to my attention, like, Officer David, you're not a minister, you're not ordained, so you really, have to wait till you be ordained. And I understand that very well, but at this time I couldn't, because there was so much of stuff that's happening, until something that really happened when we had 4 kids got shot in a van.
Mm-hmm.
When those 4 kids got shot, it just told something that happened inside of me. And I set it there on my desk. And then I got a call from our director, and he said, I'm going to need you. And only thing I can do is put my armor of God on, and went out and got these families and bring them in. And we start doing the crisis intervention, start doing the counseling, start directing these families to get help, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to help these families, as well as that officer. Because this had happened on a Sunday morning when all this happened. And it was so important that when we out there as an officer, we seeing so much of stuff. And then now when you have 4 different families, actually it was 5 different families. One of the gentlemen that did, he was in the van also. So just speaking on that in general, we had like 5 different families screaming at the police officers, yelling, wanting to know who was in the van, who got shot. And, right now, we had solved that problem. And consider they was juveniles, and I work on a juvenile unit because I have, wonderful, co-workers that we work together hand in hand. We lock arms, and we understand what the families go through. Especially we have, I would say 75% of our young black ladies, children out there is running away.
Okay.
They running away from home, and they don't want to talk to the police officer. But they would call that police chaplain and say, listen, I need to talk. Can you help me? And right now is, I'm dealing with a lot of cases right now that I actually have 2 young ladies out of the state of New Jersey trying to get back because they're going through a crisis right now.
Okay.
So actually I'm wearing 2 hats now.
Got it. I actually want to ask, we're quickly running out of time, but I want to ask another question because something in what you were just saying kind of hinted to the fact that when you think about trauma and, all of those things associated with trauma, that when you look at the officers, the police officers, they experience trauma also.
Of course.
All day.
And so it's part of the role of a chaplain to also meet the needs of the officer when they have experienced a traumatic event.
Right.
Something that happened on the street, like this example of the people getting shot in the van and everything. So I'm just curious, like, how does that part of it work in terms of the intervention, if you will, that you would give to the officers from a chaplain perspective?
So what we do, as an officer that, and again, I'm wearing 2 hats, but as a chaplain, when I see an officer is going through a crisis, when they see this happening in their life, we as chaplains, that we can pull them to the side. We can take them in the office, sit down.
Okay.
It's called debriefing. So when we debriefing with that officer, and a lot of officers, because the wall is built so high, I'm fine, I'm okay.
Yes. And that's why I was asking
exactly.
the question.
And we as police chaplains, we see that happen all the time.
Right.
And because we see this, we also talk to them and let them know we're here for you. Because that, like Dr. Shirley Gaines was saying, that's our number 1 main motto, is to make sure that we are here supporting the Trenton police officers first. And that's really, really important because we have some officers actually go through personal stuff in their life. And they come and talk to us.
So your response to that question?
Yes, well, he nailed it.
Yeah.
That's our first response is to the police. That's why it's Trenton Police Chaplains. Just like you have chaplains for Navy, fire chaplains. Well, our obligation is first to the Trenton Police Chaplains. And that, as she stated, is to bridge that gap between police officer and community. But we're there on both sides to help debrief them, spiritual counseling, and to hear them, to hear them out.
And it's working.
Yes.
I agree with Nate 100%. It's working because they know who we are.
Yes.
And the respect is there. And not only do the police know, but the community knows who the chaplains are. And so that is really a great help because like Nate said, our police officers go through something all the time.
Right.
They got it. We don't know what they dealt with before they left home. Then they out there in the community. They're getting beat up in the community. So the chaplains are definitely a blessing all the way around to the police, and to get that respect from the police because, like Nate said, that bridge, that barrier is up so high.
Right.
But to see them welcome us in, not just rookies, but we talking about officers that's been there for years. The captains respect us, the supervisors, the whole force respects us as chaplains. So it's really a great honor to do what we do. And at the end of the day, all of us chaplains, we get together after stuff happens. We even do a debriefing because of what we experienced too.
Exactly.
So we debrief after all what we've seen, whether it's under that ribbon, because we're under that ribbon. We're at the hospital. We're in the back room with the medical team. So we get together and we debrief and we talk about what we experienced so that we can be prepared for the next event. So it's really an honor and a privilege, and it's working.
Excellent.
It's
So
working.
we're very quickly running out of time. So what are those last nuggets that you would like to share with the audience?
My last nuggets would be continue to pray for the Trenton Police Chaplains, that we may continue to be that beacon light, because as we stated, we're playing two roles. We're the clergy, and we're civilians. And so we want to be that light for our community, to help our community rise.
Excellent.
I think what I would say is to our community, when you see a police officer, don't think negative, think positive. Actually go up to them and say hi. Say, how you doing today? How's it going? It's good to see you in my community. And I think that would bridge that gap too, because it makes the police officer feel like, wow, they're accepting us back into the community, in the community. So I think if we do that, and we as chaplains just continue to be that example, because if we all lead, eventually the people will follow.
Absolutely. So you have 10 seconds.
He got it. He could do it.
In 10 seconds, we're basically what we do. That's extremely important, that we as clergies and deacons of the cloth, we don't push our religion on anyone. We don't do that at all. And that's so rewarding. That's one of the things that we do, not only for the community as well as the officers, and we get a great deal of respect.
Excellent. So this has been an incredible conversation.
Wow.
And I want to thank you, the audience, for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.